All right, we are back on sports, and I guess we're going to start with football. I'm kind of pressed for time today, but I'm going to try and get as much out as possible. We should start with football. I didn't expect that, especially with the news that we've recently acquired as of late. So I guess we're going to start with Ezekiel Elliott, okay? Ezekiel Elliott, all right, as we know, was in an altercation apparently, punched a guy out, okay? And you know what? We don't really know much after that, okay? Because we saw the pictures of the guy who was laying on the ground hurt, but we didn't see any pictures of Ezekiel Elliott actually being there. And for what people are asking, was he actually there? All we have is a bunch of witnesses saying, I seen him. That's all we got. Some police officers were like, I think we saw him. That was it. In the pictures, he's nowhere to be found. So apparently, he punched a guy, got ghost, and that was it. And we don't really know much. But it's not the first time a Dallas Cowboy has done that, or a professional athlete has done that either. I mean, we don't know what happened, that transpired into that, altercation. So maybe the guy was talking all types of trash to him. Maybe he got in his face. We really don't know the entire issue in full. Not yet, at least. We shall see what happens, okay? So I really don't want to judge Ezekiel Elliott just yet on what's going on. But from an Eagles fan perspective, yeah, you Cowboys fans, what's up with your players constantly getting in trouble? Y'all been in trouble for a while now. So, yeah, wait till the season starts. Right? So, yeah. But let's move on. Also, not too long ago, what happened? Mike Vick. Yeah, I guess we need to talk about Mike Vick. So, for those who don't know what happened, not too long ago, Mike Vick came out and he threw Colin Kaepernick under the bus. And he actually came out and said that Colin Kaepernick would probably be signed to an NFL team soon if he cut his hair. Really? That's where you want to go. Mike Vick, let's get something straight here. Because if that's where you're going with this, then I feel bad for you. I say this due to the fact that you have to understand that this is almost the equivalent of black people being told, well, police wouldn't pull you over much, or they wouldn't suspect you as much if you cut your hair, or if you pulled up your pants, or whatever the case may be. So pretty much what you're saying is he has to fall in line and conform to a specific image so that somebody would sign him. So you're just going to undermine everything that he's done throughout this entire time. For those who have not kept up with Colin Kaepernick, how he's gone from school to talk to kids about, about their rights. How he's, he bought a bunch of suits for people who, I believe they were fresh out of jail or homeless or something like that. I believe they were fresh out of jail. So they would have a second chance so they can go get a job. He just spent, money on food and water for cargo to take it overseas in another country so that they would have food and water. Like, this guy is doing it. You know what I mean? And the only thing you can really focus on is to say that he should cut his hair. Like, that's ignorant. It's very ignorant. And here's the thing. It's not like it was a slip of the tongue. It's not like Michael Vick was very remorseful for what he said. And I'll explain. Because if you say something like that and you felt as though it was wrong to say it came, a slip of the tongue and say something like that, it was an accident or something, then you clear it up right then and there. You know what I mean? On air. You know what? Nope, that came out wrong. Let me rephrase that. Let me go in depth and explain what I mean. He didn't do that. He said it and let it ride. That's what he did. And then the backlash came from online. Then he decided, once he saw the backlash, okay, I'm going to type out this apology and say it was wrong and I got love for Cap and all that. No, it's too late now. It's too late. You didn't try to correct yourself then. You waited until the backlash happened. And since then, people have been calling him a coon. People are saying he's only doing this to appeal to the people that always, who keep calling him a dog killer. There's a lot of things that people are saying about Mike Vick today. And they're not taking his apology. And I can understand why, simply for the fact that he didn't try to clean himself up before that. You know what I mean? He waited. He waited until he saw backlash and then wanted to apologize. Which, clearly, he's not remorseful at all. Because if you were remorseful, like I said, you would have taken care of it right then and there. All right? Right then and there. And he didn't. So, that's on Mike Vick. And you put up like this. Mike Vick should be happy. I should say happy. He should be appreciative that he has a platform like that for them to bring him on TV and speak after what has happened. Don't get me wrong. We have seen a lot of worse cases. I mean, they had Dante Stallworth on there. He killed a guy, but he's been on there. Ray Lewis has been on, on ESPN or whatever, or wherever station. And guess what? He's been on TV. So we all know that, these athletes do a lot of bad things and still have that platform. Warren Sapp has been on TV. You know what I mean? So it goes to show you that there is another opportunity, another chance for an athlete to redeem themselves as long as they're, playing in the spotlight and they try to redeem themselves. And they give you the chance and then you blow it again. And that's what he did here. He blew it. And at this point, yeah, Mike Vick, it's time for you to go away. I feel that way. There's that apology. It's half-hearted. I believe it. I don't even believe it's any type of sincere at all. All right? Let's move on. I want to talk about the Flyers, what was it? The Flyers Charity Classic. As you can see, got the shirt on, and here's the medal. As you see, this medal is very small, so what I'll do is I'll take this off so you can see it somewhat. Hopefully you can see it. See that? Yeah, very small medal, all right? Very small. Anyways, it's kind of detailed, but it's better than the medal that I did, remember, 2 years ago. I would have thought by now that this is the third time running that the Flyers would have learned by now how to actually do the medals right and also, you know, do the ribbons right. Because let's be honest here. Look, I'll show you real quick. This ribbon is just plain orange. So it goes to show you. Granted, it's for charity, but also understand I have done enough races that's been for charity where they have done so much more. I will say that the new logo, the new shirt and everything is really nice. And I'll say that this course that you built this time around was different. Because remember, last time I did this, they used to have it in November. Remember, the first one, the Flyers charity. And they had you run around Wells Fargo to Citizens Bank Park and then pretty much come back into Wells Fargo under the tunnel and stuff like that. This time it was built around, you ran out of Wells Fargo parking lot again, but you went under the tunnel and then you went to the Navy Yard and you ran throughout the entire Navy Yard and then came back up into the Wells Fargo. So, let me explain. Because it was extremely hot out there. Now, when you're out there in Wells Fargo, it's all open air. That's fine. That's not a problem. You can handle that. You know what I mean? There's no clouds in sight. It's hot as hell that morning. It's very humid. So we start running. We start under the tunnel. The tunnel isn't bad due to the fact that there's a lot of shade. You know what I mean? But still, the tunnel, there's no wind coming through. All right? Because there's no wind blowing. As opposed to last time when I did it in wintertime where it was very windy, the wind would take your breath away. You go down there in the Navy Yard, and it's absolutely no wind. You gotta think, it's nothing but tall buildings, it's blocking all the wind, and it's nothing but the sun beating down on you. And it killed a lot of people. It did. And for the pace I was running, which I didn't think I was running that fast at one point, because I went to this race thinking I was not going to run hard. I was like, it's 5K, you know what I mean? I got a marathon coming up in November. This is just something just to get my legs warmed up, you know what I mean? Just to have fun with it, you know? And I ended up running 6.5. I finished, personal best now was 20 was a 5K in 20 minutes. So, but running through that, I will admit, I felt horrible when running through it. The second mile in, I feel like I was going to throw up. I just didn't know what was wrong. And I also realized when I was running this, I had the same problems I did when I did the superhero run in June. And it was the same course, remember? Where I did the superhero run. And it was for the charity for kids. And I had to run through the Navy Yard. And it was extremely hot that day. And there was no wind in sight. It was the same thing. It was the same setup. And I guess what I'm starting to realize now is that that specific area is a trap. Because there's no air, there's no nothing. So you really have to slow down your pace, or you have to be used to running in the summer. And for those who remember the way I do things, I don't run in the summer. I run either in the spring or I run in the fall. You know, even this marathon coming up in November is cutting it close because it's close to winter. Because I don't run in those elements. I just don't. Because, number one, the summer will kill you. It will burn you. It will drain you. And in the cold, it's a little bit different, but it can be tricky. All right? So you have to understand that I'm not used to running in those type of elements. I'm used to doing Spartan races in those elements, which is different, as you know, doing obstacles and going up mountains and stuff. That's different because you're still running through the woods. You still have shade. You still, have all these type of things. They had one water station the entire time for a 5K, which is fine. I feel is okay. I think the best part about this, okay, is it was after the run because the sponsors were I will say the sponsors were the best sponsors I have seen so far in all my runs. I say that due to the fact even Disney didn't even do as much as these sponsors did at the Flyers Charity Classic. I mean, they had big bottles like this of water, energy drinks, and stuff like that. They was like, take them. They're massive drinks, and they're like, take as many as you want. And just so the bag they gave you, I wish I'd have known. I brought another bag. You could just keep loading them up. They didn't care because they had so much. They had soft pretzels free, water ice. They had of course, free, you get one free beer or whatever that you want, or a liquor shot or whatever that you wanted. Free apples, as many as you wanted. Free bananas, as much as you want. I mean, there was just so much free stuff that you could have during that time. Of course, bottles and bottles of water. And, of course, they had buckets, because it was so hot out there. They had buckets of water with ice in them to keep the water cold. And let me tell you this. After I finished, I took bottles of water and I poured it over my head. And y'all saw the picture. You can see a little bit of water. It's not even really water. That's sweat from the bottom of the shirt. Because I wiped my face, but I poured water over my head because it was so hot, and it evaporated like that. It was so quick. I was like, well, damn, because it was really that hot out there. don't let it fool you. It was really bad out there. All right, but you know it was weird. I will say one thing I did have a problem with was the gear check. All right, you go there with your bag with your gear check, and here's the thing. Usually you have how they do it. The UPS trucks or whatever to hold your gear check, and that's fine. That's what they had this time. However, it was the location of the gear check. The gear check, as you know, is usually away from the race, so you can get over there with no problem. This one, the gear check was next to the race. It was right next to the starting line, which means that not just the runners, because you have to remember, it's a charity classic, which means there's a 100K bike ride and a 50K bike ride, and I believe a family 10-miler bike ride, along with the 5K run. So when I'm trying to check my bag, you can't get through the bikers because they're all blocking, because the way they have it lined up, they're blocking the gear check with their bikes because they're getting ready to go. So it's like, okay, so how do I get my bag in a gear check? I had to have someone from staff open up a barricade for me to get through the bikers so I can get to the gear check, because the bikers literally by the hundreds were blocking the gear check trucks, so you couldn't get to them. You know what I mean? And you couldn't go all the way around because then you got to walk through that line of bikers. It's not going to happen. It's too many bikers. So I felt that was mismanaged when it came to where the location should be. But other than that, the race was fine. Like I said, I think it would have been a better race if it wasn't for the heat. I mean, the heat killed a lot of people. A lot of people. People took off like a rocket. By the time they got to the block, they were done because the heat had burned them. I'm like, well, damn, you know. So it was really interesting. But like I said, personal best, I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? Hey, 20 minutes, I'll take it. Didn't expect that at all. You know, so, and it wasn't even like it was a great pace. I didn't think I was running at that great of a pace anyway. I mean, you went downhill, you know how you go your inclines. Downhill, you can ease up on your runs. I saw a lot of people running hard when they went downhill. I'm like, why are you running so hard? You're burning yourself up. And then, of course, going uphill, it's a little bit differently. You know what I mean? But the actual design of the course wasn't bad. It's just that heat, man, and those buildings, there's just no air. There's none. There was a lot of people who were stopping and walking on the side, and it was like, what the hell? And let me tell you something. I stopped a couple of times, too. Not because I was tired or whatever, but my damn armband, again, I had to get a new armband. Because it kept sliding off. That Velcro, I guess, is just worn off on it now. So I need to get a new armband. All right, so let's move on, shall we? Also, over the weekend, all right, as you know, the EPL will be coming back very soon. We are in preseason mode this time. That's right. And for those who don't know, Chelsea played against Fulham. That's right. They played against Fulham. And some people say Fulham. I say Fulham. And it was quite embarrassing, I would say, for Fulham. But then again, they're not really, back to the part, up to part of what they used to be. So for those who did not see the score of this game, 8-2. Yeah, Fulham tried. They did. Fulham tried. But, not enough, apparently. So, GG's Fulham fans. That's all I can say, really, because, let's be honest here, it was a really, that's a destroying score. If that was like an actual league game, do you realize that people would have been up in arms? They would have been, because that score is just ridiculous. Well, we saw this last time. Didn't Arsenal didn't they get beat like that once? It was like 6-1 or 6-2 or something like that. And what was that Man U? I think it was Arsenal. And they refunded all the people their tickets or something. It was something like that. It was a couple years ago it happened. But 8-2. That's a huge score to lose by. And don't get me wrong. Fulham they showed some heart. They scored 2 goals. They did show some heart. But once those goals started pouring in, that was just pretty much it. Guys are getting hat tricks and all kinds of stuff. It was, they're a long ways away from what they used to be. So we shall see what happens with them in the future. And Chelsea moves on, of course, in their preseason games. Now, in this game, they didn't have it televised, so I had to find somewhere to watch it, via online. Get tired of that, to be honest. But they are going to start, showing the preseason games here in the States, actually on TV, on ESPN soon. So, I guess it's a reason I can start watching ESPN again, because I don't watch ESPN, really. That's the only reason I probably watch it. I'm shocked that NBC hasn't been doing it. But to be honest, we have been seeing a lot here, all right? We've been seeing a lot of cricket. So, that's interesting. They're bringing it over. And I believe NBC just made a new, they just got a new deal. And apparently, I think the cable, cable ratings, prices are going to go up. So, I got to a point, like I said, I don't even have cable like that anymore. I use the Fire Stick, so I just watch the stuff, on a jailbreak. But NBC, struck a big deal now, and now it's going to start costing people, because they're bringing all these other things over. I think they brought over EPL. Then they gave us a little bit of rugby. Hopefully, we'll get more rugby. and now they're giving us cricket. So it's really interesting to try to keep up on that type of stuff. You know what I mean? Like I said, when you don't see as much of it, you get interested and see what it's all about. And I think a lot of people don't give it the credit it deserves. You have to sit down and actually watch it for a long time to understand it. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. But sitting down and actually watching sports is something that it seems like a lot more people do these days as opposed to actually going out there and playing it. And it seems like our city is still having a problem. Now, as you know, I did a video yesterday about the police department and basketball, all right? And while that is still in the motions of, going through things, that's not what I'm here to talk about today, all right? As you know, when it comes to, again, court renovations, I don't understand why the city has decided to just keep things the way they are. Now, for those who follow me on Twitter, not too long ago, about a week or so ago, I went to the Philadelphia Mural Arts program, and I asked them, I was like, hey, would you be interested in bringing some of the mural arts over to our basketball courts? Because when you're seeing things like this overseas, I don't understand how we don't have it yet. So when you see things like this, all right, in another country, and us here in Philadelphia, we're supposed to be a sports town, and we don't have these type of things going on in our sports, in our areas, yeah, I'm kind of wondering what's going on here, So when asking, the Mural Arts program, of course, they didn't get back to me. They just didn't get back to me. So you know how I am. Anyone who follows me on Instagram, I'm deep within the graffiti community. So all I'm going to start doing is I'm going to go to the places, the managers of these parks or whatever, and ask them if it's okay to have graffiti artists work on the stuff. Because the Mural Arts program apparently is too big and too busy. I remember when they were very small, no one cared about them. But they're too big and too busy to do all this type of stuff, So I guess I have to go the other way. So I'm just going to make some phone calls and be like, yo, how much is it going to cost for you to fix this up, to the graffiti artists, and just let them do their thing. It's just going to have to work. It goes to show you that you can't rely on the actual city and the funding and programs all the time. Because the programs, I'm sure they're busy, but the programs also don't get back to you. And like I said, it's one of those things that is very frustrating. It is. And it's like I said, this is not my first time trying to talk to a Mural Arts program. So you have to understand, just me sending a tweet out, that's the tip of the iceberg as opposed to what I've done, tried to get in contact with them before. So it's very frustrating. But, speaking of basketball, we shall move on. The Philadelphia 76ers. Let's talk about Summer League, okay? Summer League. Oh, my God, Summer League. So, the Sixers went into Summer League, and we saw the roster. And it's like, okay, we see the roster. It's not that big of a deal. The Sixers can still do some damage with this roster if they play well. And let's be honest, the Sixers did play well, all right? However, when Fultz was playing, people decide to kiss his ass to the moon. And like I said, this is what I mean. This is where you have fans who don't know what's going on because they get too excited when they see a player play to a specific potential that they've been picked. All right? You can't sit here and tell me it's okay for this guy. You're screaming for him to be the Hall of Fame. That's right, in the Hall of Fame already. That's what you're doing. And I knew it was going to happen. As soon as I saw the media try to report this, I said, oh, the media's going to report this, and fans are going to jump on it really quickly. And like clockwork, here they came. You can sniff out frauds a mile away because as we've seen with Fultz, and I've said this on Twitter, I think people have to understand with Fultz, he's just a kid. He's only played a couple times in Summer League. As we know, he's hurt now. We'll get into that in a minute. But you have to understand that when it comes to this, people have either been overly high on him or just trying to throw him under the bus when he has a bad game. Because let's be honest here, he'll have a bad first half and people are like, he's done, he's finished, get him out of here. And then he'll have a good second half and people are like, he's the GOAT. You know what I mean? Like, look, let's get something straight here. Fultz hasn't done anything wrong or talked anything like we've seen the other players do, and we will speak about that today, okay? He hasn't done that. But you have to understand that you can't be on an extreme side. It's too early. It's Summer League, all right? Some of you don't even watch them. Some of you didn't even care about Summer League until you found out that Fultz was going to play in it, all right? Well, listen, we'll talk about that too. But the fact is, you can't be too up or too down this kid because he's got, he's got growing pains, and he's got to learn that. As you saw when he was playing, the game at first was too fast for him. He was breathing heavy, especially in the first quarter, breathing so heavy. It was almost like he couldn't catch his own breath because he was trying to do too much. There's a reason they didn't have him at point guard. They had him at the 2 spot, all right? And he would come back and he would reset at the key. That's what he would do. And you have to understand that these type of things, they have to be worked on, all right? They have to be. So I'm not trying to hear, oh, he's horrible, he's trash, blah, 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 blah. And I'm also not trying to hear, well, he's the greatest of all time, put him in the fucking Hall of Fame. I'm not trying to hear that, all right? Both extremes need to calm down and just let this guy get, naturally get to where he needs to be. That's what needs to happen. But, of course, he was injured. Now, when the injury happened, a lot of people freaked out. You know what I mean? This always happens to our players, blah, 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 blah. Look, it's part of the game. People are saying, we shouldn't have, none of these players should be playing in Summer League. And blah. No, he needs to play in Summer League. Why? Because he needs to work on his game. He needs to get as much experience as possible before the regular season. You just can't throw him into the regular season that way. That's not how basketball, or any sport for that matter, works. He has to play in it. He has to, all right? He needs the experience. So as far as I'm concerned, I feel that was wrong to say. I understand you want to watch him because of his injury, but guess what? These are players. They're going to get injured, all right? Now, for him, what happened with his ankle, okay. But here's the thing, all right? We've talked about this for a number of seasons about Summer League and the Sixers, all right? I've been watching Summer League for I don't know how long. I've been telling you, Summer League is a lot better than regular season. If you haven't been watching Summer League or all the other teams in Summer League, they're barely calling fouls. Guys are getting rough with each other. I mean, it's really almost like a street ball mentality. So, yes, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to watch Summer League no matter what team is playing, okay? But I'm going to watch my team, the Sixers. Now, when the Sixers were playing, even though Fultz was hurt, all of a sudden, did you notice the media, they weren't reporting so much on it anymore. No. Those same fans, they weren't watching so much anymore, were they? No. The same people, he's the GOAT, notice, stop watching. How do you stop watching your team? This is what I mean about sniffing out the frauds. And, at this point, I think it's not even fans that are fans of Sixers, but they're still new to basketball in general. So they don't know how to react just yet. Oh, well, the star is hurt. And you still got to cheer on your team, right? That's what you got to do. And the thing is, when the Sixers played the Lakers, all right, before, because the headline, of course, was Lonzo Ball puts up, 36 points on the Sixers or whatever? You have to understand that the Sixers were up by 15, 20 points. The Sixers were actually playing well without their star. And here's the thing. The Sixers, what did them in was defense. They couldn't stop him on defense. They would just slash the lane and kill him on defense. It was a defensive problem, which means you got enough guys out there to do what they need to do, but when it becomes a defensive problem and matchup problem, you can't look at the players at that point. You need to look at the coach. That's what it comes down to. And a number of you were very upset about when Fultz got hurt, because when Fultz got hurt, the camera cut to Brett Brown, and he was smiling and laughing and carrying on while his man is hurt. So you have to understand that you need to see it for what it is, all right? You need to see who's for your team, who's good for your team. Coach-wise, Brett Brown smiling like that is just, maybe it was just an unfortunate time before he realized it, but some of you were like, no, he saw the injury and he was still smiling. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So, I've said before that Brett Brown's not going to see out this entire process. I've said this before, all right? I don't think he's that good of a coach anyway. I don't. Look how long it takes them to call timeouts when teams go on runs on the team. And then they got to figure it out for themselves. They have to find their way out of it. If the team is going on a big run and you're up by 20 points now, you just don't let them feel it out. You got to call timeout and you got to readjust. Brett Brown doesn't do any of that. But when he does do something that works right, he's quick to beat his chest over it. We've seen that all last season. You know what I mean? I believe it was like a handful of games where the Sixers actually did something really nice. And Brett Brown got out there and was like, yeah, I called that play. That was me. I called that play. That's what happens when when everything falls in sync and we're all. I'm like, are you serious, Brett Brown? Seriously? Okay. Say, this is what we have now. Now we need to talk also about what's been going on with the Sixers. And a lot of people have been talking about how Simmons and Embiid, and there's just something wrong with these dudes. And I agree. Because you can't talk and not play. You can't do that, all right? And we're going to start with that, right now, due to the fact that everything that has happened. Now, the media made sure, and apparently Joel Embiid has a problem with reading. He has some type of reading comprehension. He gets very defensive, I've noticed on Twitter. Because when something is brought up, he doesn't realize that, sometimes it's not just about him. Sometimes the media is trying to tell you something and you're not reading into it. So let's start with the first one where the media actually says, every time the Sixers have made a pick, these guys get hurt. Now, as you can see, Embiid says, according to whatever network, they're saying I never played an entire game in my life. That's not what they're saying. They're saying just your first season. You missed your first season. That's what the stats are for. The first season. Not for your entire career. See, he gets very defensive. And when he misread this, you know how Twitter's going to react, right? You know they're going to go right after him. Did you see that? That one tweet said, nobody likes Embiid and Simmons. Because remember, those two are doing the most talking ever since the NBA draft, okay? When Ball got, when he was drafted, they was like, we got to dunk on him. Make sure you dunk on him. And I'm like, what did this dude do that all of a sudden you feeling this way? What happened? You know what I mean? Like, what's the problem here? And here's the thing. The media tried to send a shot out to Embiid. They tried to send a message. And, of course, he took it the wrong way. Because we're going to talk about tweets as opposed to minutes played. And, of course, when that came out, he got upset. Now, look, you have to understand you can't get upset about that due to the fact that the media is sending you a message. They're simply telling you, shut up. That's what they're telling you, shut up. Not because they don't like you, but because it's for your own good. That's why. Because right now, what you've been doing, this Showtime shit that you've been doing with your head up your ass and doing all these tweets and acting this way, and you're not on the court, people are noticing it. They are noticing it. And here's the problem. You have to understand, and I'm going to put this in perspective to everyone, if you play basketball. You go to a basketball court. Let's just say you go into the basketball court with your people, all right? But you're not playing today. But you're going there as a group, and, you're watching everyone else. You're not playing today. But you decide you're going to talk shit about everybody on that court. Do you realize somebody is going to tell you, shut the fuck up? Because they're tired of you talking. Unless you're playing, shut up. It's a common rule. And you know what? He is not exempt of that rule. So yeah, you do more talking right now than you are playing. I don't know why you're talking. That's why like I said, it's one of those things where you want to be Showtime. But because you've taken this role against the Ball family, now you've decided to go after the dude's daddy for some reason. And this is exactly what you said, Embiid.
Man, fuck LeVar Ball.
The hell is wrong with you, dude? Do you realize I don't think you realize what you're doing here. And because of this, the NBA fined him. Jesus fucking Christ. Are you serious? You don't get it, do you? And of course, you have these stupid ass-kissing fans, again, not realizing how basketball works or how basketball operations work. They're just going to kiss Embiid's ass and say he didn't do nothing wrong. And the NBA, they have no right to do this, or what they'd have no business or what he says on Instagram. It goes to show you these fans have no idea what they're talking about. It is the NBA's business due to the fact that the players are contracted with the NBA. They are on said teams. They have a code of conduct policy. They are an investment and represent the NBA. You understand that right now? I'm hoping you do. Because for you to say that it's none of their business, it's definitely their business when you act that way. And you have to understand, ever since Artest went up into the stands, I don't care if you're going to call them Metal World Peace, whatever you call it, ever since he went up to the stands and started punching people in the face, the NBA has been locking down on things. Remember, the dress code they locked down on? You have to also understand, they got a microscope, of course, on the Sixers after what happened with the many fights with Okafor. You think they're not going to do something about this? You really going to sit here and say that this is okay? The NBA definitely is going to sit here and say, we're either going to fine you, or if you keep this up, you're not going to have any money. And it goes to anyone else who has any other job. I guarantee you, if you have a job right now, if you decide to go out in the street and start punching random people in the face, or start going off on people, and your job finds out about just randomly, just going off and cursing out people, and your job finds out about it, guess what they're going to do? They're going to give you some type of reprimand or fire you. Why? Because you represent them. That's why they have on when you have when you sign your resume or whatever, you have to list references and stuff like that. That's the reason. Character references, because they want to make sure that people are vouching for you to be a good person. Because they say no, don't. This person isn't a good person. They're not going to hire you. It's that simple. Do you not understand how this works? So as far as I'm concerned, when you see someone tweet something like that, it's got to be some guy who either doesn't have a job or doesn't know sports. And if he has a job, it's got to be a very low-paying job. Because you cannot just simply get away with that. That's not how it works. Businesses don't do that. I mean, you already see now they're starting to look at people's Twitters and stuff like that, and they haul people in. We see it all the time now, don't we? Don't sit here and tell me it's not the NBA's business. But there's more. That's right. When Embiid is asked about these type of situations, right, why he went after LeVar Ball, He says, well, I just felt like I needed to say it. Everyone was feeling that way, so I just had to say it.
Same time, like, everybody has always told me to be yourself and never change.
That's fine.
Maybe you didn't need the curse word.
Yeah, we gotta chill a little bit on the curse part, but that's just something I had to do because everybody has been thinking about that, and I'm glad I did it.
Something that he had to do. Bruh, you didn't have to say anything. If you haven't understood what's been going on with LeVar Ball and what he's been doing, this is all set up. If you haven't realized, everything they have done has been planned from jump. If you have not realized this, you think it's just coincidence that all of a sudden Lonzo Ball, now he was playing in the big baller stuff, right? Then all of a sudden he was playing in Kobe's. Then all of a sudden he was playing in Under Armour. What do you think they're doing? They're playing in all these different brand shoes to make sure that the company see, okay, he's putting up X amount of points in our shoes. We may have to give him something. Because remember, they didn't want to do business with them at first. Now if he keeps doing this and wearing their shoes, these other company shoes, they're going to go with the highest bidder. This is all planned. So for you to say that you had to do it and this is what everyone's thinking, technically, no, that's not what everyone is thinking. The media is thinking that, because remember, the media didn't want him around. They tried to slander him to the end, all right, LeVar Ball. That's what the media did. The only reason I don't like LeVar Ball is the fact that he's marked up his shoes to what, $400 or something like that, and then tries to play on people who have insecurities. Well, you're not a big baller if you don't buy these shoes. So you're going to tell a kid in the hood who thinks those shoes is hot, who can't afford them, you're not a big baller unless you buy these, there's going to be a problem. So that's the problem I have with LeVar Ball. Other than that, everything else he's done, if you can't tell that it's a plan, there's something wrong with you. But there's more to it. Like I said, Joel Embiid, you didn't have to say anything. You chose to say something and thought it was going to be cool, and it blew up in your face. And LeVar Ball actually responded to what you had to say.
Did you see Joel Embiid got fined for...
He get fined every time he say a cuss word. Like I said, his vocabulary is limited. I bet you he can't say F you more than I can say it to him. Because his ass will be broke. When you're working for somebody, shut your mouth.
Exactly. LeVar Ball has the advantage here because LeVar Ball isn't contracted by the NBA. You have to understand, you were arguing with someone's daddy. That's who you arguing with. You arguing with someone that's not in the league. So every time you curse him out, you getting fined. He can say it, and everyone's like, whatever. They can't do anything about it. Unless he's on like national TV with the FCC and breaking the regulations, he can say whatever the hell he wants. All right? But on Instagram, he can say just as much as you can. He chooses not to. You're falling into his web. That's what you're doing. And Embiid doesn't realize that he's being played so much. And like I said, all this is playing out on Twitter and on Instagram, social media, which us fans, it makes us fans look bad. I've told you this once, I will say it again, because we talked about this on Twitter, all right? The last thing the Sixers need is a bunch of damn loudmouths. You got to go out there and you have to play. You have to go out there and earn that talk. And none of them have earned this talk yet. But they're going to sit and talk, keep talking, and keep fucking talking and talking and talking. It makes no damn sense. I can't get behind that, man. If this is what the season has to offer already, I might as well just check out now. Seriously. You can't sit here and tell me that this is okay. You went after someone's daddy because it needed to be done, as if no one else has ever done it. Really? That's what you want to say? Then you want to go after his son as soon as he's drafted and say, you got to dunk on him. What have these people done to you? That's what I want to know. It almost makes me feel like you're a little jealous that they're stealing your showtime. That's what it almost makes me feel like. Seriously. I don't understand why you're going after him. I don't. Now, if fans are all for it and say, okay, this will help reignite the Sixers versus Lakers rivalry, as a fan, I'm okay with that rivalry. But you don't need to be going after nobody's daddy, especially he ain't going to get fined. You're taking all the hit from it. You understand that, right? But there's more. That's right. Then Embiid decides he wants to complain at 2K. That's right, NBA 2K. He wants to complain over his rating in the game.
Well, it's kind of hard to rate me because I felt last year when I was on the court, I was the best defender in the league, and then as a big man, I can do everything: shoot threes, post up, handle the ball, be a playmaker. So I feel like I'll be honest, it should be at least 95 because I try to do it myself and trying to actually rate myself and literally guess 95. So, like, there's basically no way to rate me. But I think a 95.
Do you want to know your rating?
Let's do it.
You're an 86.
What? That's bull crap. I'm not going to cuss. I just got fined, so I'm not going to cuss. But 86, I'm definitely going to bump it up to 95 during the season.
Now look, before I make this all about Embiid, let's be real here. We see this time and time again with athletes, do we not? They always complain about their rating in a video game, which makes no sense to me. It doesn't at all, because it's a video game, and if you play well during the season, your rating is going to go up anyway. So I don't understand why athletes constantly complain about their rating in a video game. What does it matter anyway if it's the rating in a video game? It's a fucking video game, alright? You play real basketball, it doesn't matter. But here's the thing. If anything, you should be happy that you got an 86 Embiid. You should be. Due to the fact that you haven't played a full season of basketball. You haven't. As far as I'm concerned, 2K can make a good case in saying, you know what, we could have given you a lower rating because you haven't played a full season. We don't know your full potential. We've only seen, as fans, we've only seen flashes of potential of Embiid and what he can do. Only flashes. We haven't seen anything consistently because he's not healthy. That's the problem. So, you want a 95 and you haven't played a full season? I don't care what you've done throughout those X amount of games that you played, but you have to understand that you haven't done enough to earn that yet. Again, it's like these guys want all this stuff without even doing anything, and that's not how it goes. And if this is going to be the new culture for the Sixers, then, like I said, I'm out of here. This is not what it's about. It's not about having groupies. It's not about grown-ass men calling you daddy and ass-kissing you and defending you every 5 seconds. Let's be real. There's no different than any other basketball player. Nobody's exempt from all the other stuff that has been built as a foundation in basketball. Nobody. Okay? If Michael Jordan came out here now, in his age right now, came to a court and said, I'll smoke all of y'all, you know what people are going to say? Shut the fuck up or get on the court. Because everybody want to play Mike, right? Exactly. That's how it works. Don't talk and keep talking and keep fucking talking and not playing. That doesn't help anybody. It doesn't make us fans look good. It doesn't help the organization. It doesn't help the NBA. It doesn't help Sixers fans. None of it. Okay? It's absolutely ridiculous that these things are happening. And like I said, I've talked to some of you about this, and some of you said you're already sick and tired of this. You're tired of the mouth. You are. You just want to get on the court and play. But, so the people who are still okay with this, and I don't understand that. I don't. Maybe y'all just don't play basketball. That's all I'm going to chalk it up to. Y'all don't play basketball. Because, like I said, if you go to a court and act like this, they're going to tell you shut the fuck up. They really going to tell you. You're going to get challenged to play or shut up. That's how it is. And that's the rule. That's usually 9 times out of 10 where you're going to go. If no one speaks up and says anything, then you got a bunch of suckers on your hands that you can keep talking. And if they keep letting you talk, that means you're going to be talking all damn day. Eventually, somebody's going to get tired of that. Eventually. But let's move on about people being tired of players, all right? Allen Iverson. Look, Allen Iverson, as we know, is a national treasure when it comes to basketball. He's in the Hall of Fame. He did a lot for this city. He played hard. But when you come through with Big3, and here's the thing, for those who don't know, on the radio while I'm driving, I'm listening to Allen Iverson talking about how he's happy to be back here in Philadelphia. He wants to perform for the fans. He wants to, he wants to, have a great game, and he's hoping that the fans will love what he's going to bring on the court, because they haven't seen him in a long time. And then we find out a couple minutes beforehand that his doctor gave him some advice to skip the game. That's right, to stay out the game because of some health issues. Now, of course, when Allen, found out and he agreed, there were so many people that were mad. And I can understand why, because you paid X amount of dollars for tickets to go see this. And granted, it's still going to be a good event anyway. But you have to understand that you came to see Iverson. And because this was happening, people are chanting at Iverson, please play. Even if it's for 10 minutes, just please play. Just for a couple seconds, please play. And he's not trying to play. Fans walked out. They walked out of the stadium because they paid to see Iverson play, and he wasn't playing. And fans were very upset. Listen, they have every right to feel upset. I mean, it's sad that it makes the other players look bad because, let's be honest here. Those other players are putting in effort, and you walk out on them, they're like, no, we're not playing good enough. Bonzi Wells came out and said he didn't find out until, a couple minutes beforehand, just like everyone else did, the fans did, that Iverson wasn't playing. So it was really interesting that, this was like literally last couple minutes decision, and nobody knew. Even Ice Cube thought that he was going to play. You know what I mean? Everyone thought he was going to play. And then out of nowhere, he was just like, nah. So fans were upset. The players were disappointed. Ice Cube seemed to be a bit disappointed. So yeah, this is not a good look for Allen Iverson at all. It's not at all. And it's sad to say that. This is your first time back on the court here in Philadelphia, and then that happens. Not a good look. That's sad. It really is. I feel really bad for the people who paid the money to see him and didn't get a chance to see him play. That's really messed up. It really is. Like I said, even if it was for 5 minutes, it'd been cool. You know what I mean? I think people would have been appreciative. All he had to say is, look, my doctor advised me not to play because I'm injured, but you know what? I'm going to play for at least 5 minutes, to give the fans something, just to show you that there is some heart. There's still something in the engine here, that I still love this city and everything. And he didn't even do that. And that reflects bad on him. Not Big3, because, like I said, no one knew. But that reflects bad on him. So we'll see if he can bounce back from that, if the fans will forgive him on that. Anyways, I'm done for the day. Yeah, I tried to do this as fast as possible. If y'all haven't realized, there was no Griffin Force flop of the week. Like I said, I just wanted to get this out as much as possible. I know I talked a lot, but I'm time crunch. I got to get ready and go and start going looking at these courts and start talking to people. So I will talk to y'all later. Y'all be safe. Have a good one, y'all. I'm out.